rough. We are on our way in to get the payloader right now. The payloader's been gone just 4 weeks, or it was actually just 4 weeks ago today that the engine went on it, and it is now done. We're running into 5-star right now. We're gonna pick up the payloader and get her back home. I've got Sarah riding with me. Can you say hello, Sarah?
Hello.
Yeah. Everybody said that you don't like the camera anymore and whatever. So, we're gonna be to 5-star in a little while. We'll get this thing loaded up and we'll get her back home. But they're talking about the engine that was in it. It had a rod come through the side of the block, and they're thinking that we might not be able to get the core charge back on that. So this job might be costing $3,000 more than what they're originally thinking that it was going to be. So if the engine's no good, we'll have to bring the engine back with us as well. There is some components on the engine that we could use down the road. The 7200 has that same engine. I wish I knew about this problem with the core on the engine before I ended up ordering the exhaust manifold for the 7200. That exhaust manifold that's on the payloader will be the same manifold. They are both 6.8 liter John Deere engine. So we'll be there in a little while. We'll get her loaded up and chained down and head her home. Well, here we are. We're at 5-star, and they have a bunch of new equipment all lined up here. It'd be nice to walk through that equipment before they close. Here, take that camera away. But they're going to be closing up shop here shortly, and we're going to have just about enough time to get this thing loaded. You talk to them for a second before they end up closing up shop here. So and I got another 624 coming in here. Oh, he's got wrong. Huh. Oh well. Out a 5-star. Just made the turn from East Taft Road to Northern Boulevard. We should be home before dark. Get this thing unloaded and get her back in service here. Window's a little dirty, Sarah. You should have washed it first.
Yeah.
Huh? Sarah's got her hair colored a little bit. What color is that?
It's black.
Black. Got some black highlights in her already dark colored hair. We've been kidding her about it, but... Alright, so we're gonna head her on home. We better shut the camera off before we get ourselves into trouble here, so... About half hour, 40 minutes, we'll be home. So like I was mentioning earlier, on our way out to get this payloader, the engine went on it exactly 4 weeks ago today. It was actually the day that Zach Johnson was here, the millennial farmer. He was at our farm. And he was getting ready to run the loader, and him and I were walking down into the bunk that he was going to start defacing in, and I didn't think the payloader sounded right, but I figured it was just the echo of the loader inside the bunk while Nate was starting to deface. So Zach and I were talking, we were explaining the different procedures of the defacer to Zach. Nate was running the loader, and I said, you know, this thing doesn't sound right. Not only does it not sound right, it just doesn't smell right. So I peeked my head into the engine compartment. I didn't like the smell of it. It had a little bit of blow by, but I said, well, that's something we're going to have to look at here later on. So once Zach got done defacing with it, I had Nate move it up by the commodity shed. You know, I said, you better park that, check the oils on it. Maybe it's got an injector going. Just the way it was running, it just was not running right. So he checked the oils on it. The oil was fine. They pulled the oil filter off, seeing if they could see any debris or anything in the oil filter. They seen nothing that was abnormal, other than the damn thing just didn't run right. So I said, you know, leave it alone for now. We'll use the 544. Finish moving feed with the 544, and I'll look at the 624 once Zach leaves. So me and Zach, Jared, and Kerr ended up going to lunch, and once we got back from lunch and Zach left, I figured I would pull the payloader into the shop. I was going to take the bucket off of it. I turned around in front of the bunk. I was going to put the bucket over by the barn, and I no more than got the payloader turned around, and it just locked up, just like that. So I said, well, this isn't good. So we looked it over. It was, you know, I had some smoke coming out of the turbo, went to start it. It was just had that locked up sound to it. So we pulled it down in front of the shop, got the lowboy ready to go, and we ended up pushing it that night onto the lowboy trailer, and it was quite a fiasco. It actually got dark before we even got it onto the trailer, and it just didn't make for good filming or videoing or anything like that. So Tim ended up taking the loader out to 5-star the following day, and then here we are 4 weeks later, and we're headed home with this loader. So in on the back side of the engine would it be on? on I gotta think about this now, but on we'll have a clip in the later part of the video. But at any rate, doesn't matter what side of the engine it was on, but it ended up having a hole right inside, right on the side of the block, right up near where it bolts up to the belt housing and the transmission or whatever. And there's like a computer to the engine kind of bolts to it, so it was kind of hiding that hole in the side of the engine, but the hole in the side of the block is about like that. So we've got to go out and get the engine. I couldn't get it on this load. They had it setting on the engine frame, but it wasn't bolted down or anything. So I've got to go back out to 5-star here. I've got to pick up that engine here sometime. We're not going to get the core return for that engine because the engine's locked up and it's got a hole in the side of the block. So there is good components on that engine that we can use in the future. We can use them on this loader, and we can also use them on the 7200. The 7200's got this same engine in it. So we lost out on the $3,000 core. They thought we might be able to get half of that core, and then depending on what the other components were like, they start deducting from there. And I said, you know what, the freaking exhaust manifold alone is $800. So we're gonna have to strip some components off this engine and throw the block away, I guess, and we'll go from there. But rod had locked up, or something happened. The rod seized up on the crank or something. So that's what caused the I don't know if the piston came through the side of the block or the connecting rod. But at any rate, yeah, it must be a piston seized up that the rod broke, and when it broke, it came through the side of the block. So we'll get back to the farm here and get this thing unloaded, and we'll come back at you in a little while here. But that was just a little bit of a story on the goings-on of what happened the day this engine actually locked up. And we should have kept the cameras rolling. I didn't know it was going to lock right up. I assumed I had an injector that was malfunctioning or something, or else we would have just kept it running, and perhaps the engine would have locked up on Zach, and that would have made for a good, video. But we didn't know it was going to lock up when it did, and I didn't want to do any more damage to it if it had just something minor going on with it. But at any rate, it is what it is. So let's get this thing home and get it unloaded before it gets any darker than it is here. Well, we're going to end the video here. I was hoping to be able to get this job that we're doing on this 7200 here all in one video, but we've got this job is on hold for now. The engine and the payloader, we're not going to be able to get the core return on it. In other words, they're not going to be able to exchange that engine because it's got a hole in the side of the block. Now, that engine is the same engine that is in this 7200. If I'd have known that we had that going on, I would not have ordered the exhaust manifold for this tractor. So we got back here last night with the tractor, or with the payloader. They did not have the engine bolted down to a stand, and we didn't have really enough room to get it on the trailer anyway. So Tim has gone out to get that engine. He's going to get the engine back here. In the next video, you'll see us taking the exhaust manifold off that engine that came out of the payloader. We're going to use that exhaust manifold on this tractor. Casanova equipment is going to allow us to return the new exhaust manifold that we've had to pay $800 for. So it's going to be a two-part freaking video on that. But they've got the transmission all into this truck here. They've just got to put the PTO on, finish torquing down all the rest of the bolts and getting the hydraulic lines hooked up, the oil cooler lines and the stuff like that. Get all the little air lines plugged into it and the speed sensor and all that crap hooked onto there. But this is coming together pretty good, and that'll be it. The rest of this job will be in the next video as well. So with that being said, that is going to do it for this video. So we'll catch you at the next one. The next video will be this thing actually going back together, but I hate dragging these videos out like this because it gets a little boring, but it is what it is. So I just got a phone call a little while ago here. They've got the W900 done, the front end alignment, that is. So we're going to go pick that up here this afternoon and get that back here. The snow has been falling here for a few hours, and the roads are all crap now, so I don't plan on going in and getting that until the roads clear up a little bit. So I want to thank you for watching, folks. We will catch you in the next video. Remember to leave me a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, and we'll catch you at the next one. Thanks again for watching.